That's what drives me crazy.
It does. Yeah. I'm excited. This is going to be a good show. Why? Because there's no Fendrick. The babysitter isn't here. Episode 140. I'm just going to tell everyone right away, unfortunately, there's also no Big Phil.
No Big Phil.
You guys lost a friend.
Yep, Pinky. Paul Starr, guy that for a long time has managed the Sims family money, done our taxes, died out of nowhere. Yes.
So condolences to his family. Big Phil can't make it. But coming up next week, I'm going to be quizzing Big Phil on pop culture as he quizzes me on football. And then in 2 weeks, I am so excited about this. Old fans of Sims and Lefkoe, we love you so much. At Bleacher Report, they made us do a thing called a disc assessment, which is when they see what kind of a personality you are at work, how you should work, what you can improve upon, and it was freakishly accurate. I have gone above and beyond. I have spoken with HR. They are going to get you this assessment.
Cool.
I'm going to have you take it. I'm not going to show you the results.
Right.
And we are going to have the instructor who came in and worked with us.
Yeah.
I think he's going to come in and he's going to reveal what your personality is and then how I should work with you in the future.
Okay.
I am to get a personality test for you, Chris Sims. Boy, am I excited.
I'm sure they're out there. I tried when I was in New England. I was always trying to find out what my results were for my psychological test.
Oh, for the one that you did
or
with the
how
Patriots.
They graded me when I was coming out in the draft.
You're
and
like,
stuff.
let me see the paperwork.
But they were very. I saw 1 or 2 grades, but they were people who graded me favorably, so they were willing to show me.
Who were they?
Actually, one of them. I don't think I can tell you that. Actually, I don't want to get. I don't want to get them in trouble. I might get them in trouble with New England if they go, "What? You're not supposed to show him that."
You are literally not afraid of anything.
Yep.
Unless they work at the Patriots.
Well, I'm not. I don't want to ruin their lives. The guy's life.
Yeah.
It's not me that I'm afraid of.
Turn it to the right.
Turn it to the right. I know. I've been doing
away
it.
from you.
But
no,
it won't
now you're turning it to you.
I know, but I'm trying to. I've done it.
Yeah, hard as you can.
I understand righty is tighty and lefty is loosey.
Do you?
But it's still not staying up. I've done this 3 times.
All right.
All right. Shut your mouth.
Let us go. What we are going to focus on today is we're going to go through our normal stuff. We have a lot of fan stuff, and because we have an extra 10, 15 minutes no Phil, I figured let's get a lot of fan in here.
Get his big blowhard ass out of here,
because you guys have been amazing. What you've been sending us on the Instagram account, and thank you if you're not following it, please do. At Sims and Lefkoe has been great. And we're just going to embrace you guys. 40s. Who do you got? Number 40.
Gosh.
I love that you always forget.
I never think about this because I'm more worried about watching film and doing real stuff.
I'm not saying it's bad.
The McCain guy on the Chargers.
Chris McCain, defensive end.
Gale Sayers, greatest 40 of all time.
Good one.
Man, what are some other 40s? There was a really good safety back in the day on the Redskins that I can't remember.
Okay.
But, I guess that's it. I'm priced out at 40.
All right. Well, first, let's get to Brandon DeVera, linebacker on Rutgers right now. We're number 40. Fendrick's not here, but I'll hold the bargain for him.
Way to make him proud.
And he went to Wayne Hills High School, New Jersey, and so did Greg Olsen,
yes, he
the
did.
tight end for the Carolina Panthers. I interviewed him on Tuesday, and that interview will be happening at the end of today's episode, so stay tuned for that. We talked about a number of things, and we're going to be playing a few clips from him in the middle of the show because he's broadcasting for Fox for the Minnesota Rams game, and you don't think he should be doing this.
I
so
don't.
I'm going to play some clips. We'll get to that in a second. 40s on offense. They're all fullbacks. Derek Coleman for the Falcons, Alex Armah for the Panthers, Dan Vitale for the Browns, and Tommy Bohannon for the Jaguars.
Man.
Other defenders, it's not a great number.
Yeah.
Vallejo for the Bills, linebacker. Kentrell Brothers, linebacker for the Vikings. Marcus Williams, corner for the Texans. Anton Exum, corner for the Niners. Delvin Breaux, he's not playing right now, but corner for the Saints. And Jared Davis, linebacker for the Lions.
That's the best 40 of the group.
He's
right
really
there.
good.
Yeah.
Now, all-time fullbacks. John Ritchie, Fred Beasley, played for the Niners.
Right.
Jim Kleinsasser.
Damn, I can't believe I forgot.
Always had a weird face in Madden. And Mike Allstott.
Yeah, holy crap.
Dude,
I'm embarrassed.
How'd you mess up
I'm
on
embarrassed.
Allstott?
My man, Mike Allstott.
Damn. White running backs. Peyton Hillis, Brian Leonard.
Holy shit, I played with Peyton Hillis. That's another, but he was 22 when I was with him in Denver, so that did not go in my brain.
Wasn't Peyton Hillis on the cover of Madden?
He was. I mean, Peyton Hillis
He had that one really good year with the Browns.
He was one of the freakier athletes I was ever around.
Really?
Yes. Peyton Hillis was 6'3", 245, and could run and was quick, and he was jacked. Yes, he was an athlete.
So you have to be insanely jacked to be jacked by NFL standards.
Yeah, he just was like an all-star, but maybe a little bit taller in that way, but same kind of guy.
I have 5 classics who I didn't know, but I felt obligated to say. Tony Banfield played only 5 seasons.
Banfield, yeah.
3-time All-Pro for Houston, won 2 AFL titles, so that's back in the day, but played 5 years, 3 All-Pro.
I want to know these ones, so maybe quiz me on these ones.
Bobby Boyd, 1960s All-Decade team.
That's too late for me.
Cornerback for the Baltimore Colts.
Okay.
James Hasty.
James Hasty for the Jets. Damn, that was a good one.
14 years,
right.
Jets, Kansas City, Oakland defensive back.
Yes.
Joe Morrison, running back for the Giants in the 1960s. And then Abe Woodson was a kickoff and punt returner for the Niners, 5-time Pro Bowler. And then there were 3 legends in my mind. Okay. One of them was Gale Sayers. Right. One of them was your man Mike Haynes.
Oh.
Hall of Famer, 9-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro with New England and Oakland.
He was 40 with New England, and Oakland he was not. Go ahead.
And then Pat Tillman.
Good one, too.
Pat Tillman, to me, was the first 40 that came to mind.
You're right.
Were you in the league yet when Pat Tillman? No, because that was a few years before. That was September 11th. Went right there.
Right.
What was the you remember from Pat Tillman?
I remember. I mean, you know what's crazy is when I was in high school and stuff, I can remember watching Pat Tillman at Arizona State. I mean, I really can, and just going like, man, this guy's all over the place. Who is this guy?
I remember playing the video game NFL Fever,
right?
And Pat Tillman was like a really good player in that game, and I was like, there are not a lot of safeties. There are not a lot of white safeties in the NFL.
White boy supreme.
Yeah, he was like Eric Weddle.
Gale Sayers is the guy of that group, though.
What did he play, like 6-7 years?
6-7 years, was in the Hall of Fame. I mean, the Kansas comment, as they called him, yes. But yeah, it's amazing. 40s, it's so fullback dominated. Not a lot of good players.
NBA players, current ones: Harrison Barnes, Udonis Haslem, Boban Marjanovic, the freakishly huge guy, Glenn Robinson, the son of Glenn Robinson, Marshall Plumlee. Oh yeah, a lot of white guys. Right. Marshall Plumlee, Cody Zeller, Tyler Zeller. Then the past. The ugliest man that ever played, Tyrone Hill from the Sixers, Kurt Thomas for your New York Knicks, or I guess you're a Nets fan.
Yes, I am.
Bill Laimbeer, and the Rain Man.
The Rain Man was 40.
Sean Kemp.
No doubt.
Wow.
Yes.
He was a guy that I instantly am taken back to the 90s and how great basketball was back then.
Yep.
And then baseball, Bartolo Colon.
Hey, Bartolo.
So the news that came out today, Tyrod Taylor is not going to be playing. He is being benched for Nathan Peterman.
Yes.
Before we get into whether or not they should have benched him, what was your evaluation of Peterman coming out of Pittsburgh? I think you liked him.
I did.
And we were surprised he went as late as he did.
Yes. I mean, I felt like he was in the conversation for the 4th best quarterback with Kizer. I mean, remember? I think that's where we were in that discussion. So I did like Peterman.
He had some flashes in the preseason.
He did. He's a good thrower. He's a very natural thrower. The ball comes out of his hand clean all the time. And when I say that, I mean he throws very nice spirals. He's not going to wow you with arm strength, but has enough to make everything
for the
go
preseason
on the offense.
And those last few meaningful drives in that Saints blowout. He throws a very nice 10 to 15 intermediate route.
No doubt.
Really good zip across the middle, good to the outside.
Similar motion to a Derek Carr. That was what I wrote in my notes.
He looks like him a little bit too.
Motion is that way, just not as strong an arm and not as good an athlete either.
To talk about Tyrod, let's get a little bit into your notes on that game.
Yep.
You wrote for Saints-Bills,
right.
No one is open, and the offensive line is getting their ass whooped. Good luck, Peterman.
Yes, because, well, I mean, come on. We've had this discussion a few times during the year. This is not a brilliant offense by any stretch of the imagination. This is the same crappy offense the Denver Broncos have had the last few years. And I know they won the Super Bowl with one of those years, yes.
Rick Dennison is the name you're looking for.
It's just basic West Coast bullshit. That's what it is.
So why now?
I don't know why now.
Why pull Tyrod now?
I do know this, and I told you this earlier. I know that they're not keeping Tyrod next year. Right. I've known that for a few weeks. So they're moving on from him, and I guess they want to see what this guy has.
Yeah.
Now, that's the only thing I can justify it, because watching the film, I don't know what's there that they think, oh, man, he really played horrible. And so to me, it's maybe just finding out what they got in Peterman so then they can figure out what they want to do in the offseason at the quarterback position.
I feel like the Bills are like hidden tanking. in terms of the record was good, so it took away the scent. But I feel like we've been looking at moving trucks going in and out of Buffalo's house for all these weeks, and we look in their windows and we see that everything is bare, and now they're putting the for sale sign in front of the house, and we're going, time out. You're moving?
Right.
And it's like, no shit. With everything they've done with Darby and Watkins and Marcel Darius and all of their moves, it's been interesting to see them do this evaluation. But part of your other notes about the team was, I'm not sure about McDermott's player evaluation.
Yeah, I've questioned it from get-go, really. I mean, actually, I questioned it the day he drafted Tre'Davious White in the first round because I did not think he was a first-round corner. So that concerned me. Then you get...
But is this him or is this Bean?
Well, I guess it's both, but it seems to be everything they do seems to be...
McDermott's decision.
Yes, and McDermott's type of guys that he wants in his system. That's the one thing I keep hearing from up there. So that's where I got to think he's got major say into this. And, it does. I mean, hey, not re-signing Robert Woods, letting Sammy Watkins go. I understand you want your players and your culture.
Yeah.
But, damn, you're just going to get rid of every talented guy on the team just for that? Well, then he's going to have a steep uphill to climb, though.
I applaud organizations when they do something that the public is not going to understand if it's for the betterment of the franchise.
Right.
If they know they're not going to sign Tyrod and they're honestly evaluating their team and they're going, look, are we 5-4? Do we have a chance to make the playoffs? Sure. Do we have a chance to win the Super Bowl? They do not.
No.
And if they're going, you know what? Why not get 7 weeks of Peterman to see what we really have? Because if we're being honest with ourselves, he might not be the guy either.
Right.
And we might need to go out and draft a quarterback. If they're being honest and going, we're not where we need to be, we need to kind of revamp everything, and these are not the guys I want, then I actually applaud them for this. There is something very emotional about Tyrod Taylor to a lot of football fans.
Yeah.
For years, people have been saying, why not win with Tyrod? Why can't you? You tell me that you can't, but he looks really good and he plays really well. And he's like a really hot button issue for a lot of fans.
But most fans, it's all about wins or losses, and his team never seems to win. So when does that stop?
I believe he has a winning record.
Great. But when it comes against the good teams, it's,
Tyrod, McDermott just might not want to have a team that's built around Tyrod.
No,
you have to build a team around Tyrod.
You do. It has to be the right situation. And that's what early in the year, I mean, it looked like it was a good fit. They want to run the ball. They want to run bootlegs.
Yes.
And they want somebody to take care of the football.
And he was doing all of that.
And he was doing that. And it really, has been doing that lately, too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not careless with the football.
Not at all.
It's just they can't do anything else on offense to help him. And then there's nobody open downfield. And nobody is scared of anybody that's on the receiver on that team.
No.
So that's tough. Tyrod, yes, Tyrod is not your prototypical guy. You do need a special type of system for him. Listen, if Tyrod Taylor was on the Jacksonville Jaguars, I might pick them to go to the Super Bowl.
It's as if you read my notes.
Hello.
First thing I thought of was Jacksonville Jaguars. So Tyrod is definitely going somewhere next year.
Well, last point is, though, they're 5-4. Okay, 7 games. But, I mean, they're just – I don't know. To me, that's just – it's a little premature, the decision. That's all I'm saying. Like
and how easy open the AFC seems to be.
The 6th seed could be a 9-7 team this year. I mean, we're literally going in that direction. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are 5-4. I expect them to lose more. And then it's Baltimore at 4-5, Oakland at 4-5, Miami at 4-5, the Jets at 4-6.
Yeah. I've always said this. People go, you know what, make a run to the playoffs and who knows what's going to happen. I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same point, like,
you're right. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
Even if they got in, they're going to lose in round 1.
This also, just for everyone's notion, I am a Sixers fan, and that's probably why I'm supporting tanking, because I'm seeing what it's done for Embiid and Simmons, and I am very excited.
Right.
But it's very interesting to watch it, and Buffalo fans, I feel bad.
Are we going to talk about the rest of that game, or are you going to go back to that game?
We're going to go back to it when we get to the game notes. Jacksonville.
Right.
If you could choose between these 3 guys next year, who would you pick?
Yep.
Tyrod Taylor, Kirk Cousins,
right,
or Alex Smith?
Ooh.
If with what the Jaguars have, Alex Smith will likely be replaced by Patrick Mahomes. He has been very open. This could be his last year. Kirk Cousins could be on the move, and Tyrod clearly won't be with Buffalo. Alex Smith, Tyrod, or Kirk Cousins?
I'm taking Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is still the best pocket passer of that group right there. Maybe not as athletic as the other ones, but still athletic enough to run bootlegs and keep the backside honest. I mean, Kyle Shanahan likes him, so that tells you what he can do as far as like that movement stuff. It's good enough. And, yeah, I just think he's the best pure passer of the group.
But the mobility of Alex Smith and Tyrod with Leonard Fournette
would certainly be a good combo, no doubt about it. But again,
it is the juiciest opening, I think, in the NFL right now.
And it's one of the juiciest openings I can ever remember.
You're getting Allen Robinson back. I know he might be a free agent, but at the same point, you're going to get him at value because he's hurt.
I mean,
Marquise Lee is a freak. Alan Hearns.
Yes, they're. Well, I mean, you know what I said. I mean, it's disrespectful how teams play Jacksonville on first and second down. It's disrespectful.
The Chargers had 9 men in the box.
Oh my gosh!
Sunday.
If I was the quarterback, I would literally get up to the line of scrimmage and go, Are you fucking serious? You're going to play like this? Great. Please stay there. This is awesome.
Jon Gruden, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Real.
Really?
I've made some calls.
All right. Well, then I'm going to put down my papers, and I'm going to.
I just think from what I've heard from a few people that are around that organization, that it is real. And I'll even go back into this. I heard that with the Hard Knocks, him being around training camp, I heard that Dirk Cutter did not want him around really. But
there is that clip where Jon Gruden walks in and he's like, Jameis, you got this, man. And then he walks out the room and Dirk Cutter goes, think he misses it? Well, man, he might not have to be missing it longer. Really, you're feeling it.
Well, I think it's a legitimate option that's on the table. And I think that was almost a ploy by the Glaziers to see if Gruden and Winston could get along and if they would gel together.
They brought him in. He was like crying and standing up there.
And John's not going to go anywhere that doesn't have the quarterback in place. He's not going to try to get a job where he has to draft or sign a free agent quarterback.
Do you believe two things?
Yeah.
One, do you think he likes Jameis Winston?
Yes, I do.
And two,
yes.
Do you believe that him and Jameis, having worked with Jon Gruden, would work well together?
I do. I do think they can make it happen. I mean, he likes Jameis, so that's a start.
Yes.
I don't know if he liked me at first, so that we had to work on that. But, yes, I do think he likes Jameis. You got to be careful about messing with a guy like Jameis, too. He's got the ear of the locker room. He's a great leader. So that will be a power play, that power card that he has. At the same point,
we saw that weird eating the W.
Yes.
We've also seen Jameis's penchant of going off script.
Right.
And you know how much Gruden loves his scripts.
No doubt. I know. It could be scary. But
it sounds like from your perspective, the Glazers would 1,000% hire him if they moved on from Cutter.
It sounds like they've come around and the relationship has been mended.
Why? It was not mended?
No, it was not. Jon Gruden, from everything I know, got fired in Tampa Bay because basically they came to an end-of-the-year meeting, and he had to go meet with the Glaziers, and the Glaziers questioned him about some of his quarterback evaluations and why he couldn't get along with quarterbacks and why he couldn't find a franchise quarterback. And everything I know, he basically was like, well, how could you question me? Then if you don't like what I'm doing, fire me. And he almost like forced their hands. That's what I know of the situation.
So come back. Do you think that's a smart move for Gruden? Is this a team that would be good for him to go back to?
Well, it's a perfect scenario. They want him in Tampa. Tampa fans still love him. He lives there. He doesn't have to move his family. He grew up in Tampa. So this is all fits together.
Man.
And
that's wild.
Yeah, I do. I mean,
what is Tennessee going to do?
It's crazy.
Now that the Tennessee Volunteers, he's been their guy for 8 years.
I know. There's no way he's going to college. People got to get over that. He would go crazy in college.
Wow. What percentage would you say it happens?
Man, I'm going to give it like an old 75-25.
Wow.
Yeah, I really am. I think that's really got a good chance. I do.
You know what that means.
What does that mean?
Sean McDonough here with Chris Sims calling Monday Night Football. You're a rocket, and that is your next job, so that's great. One other thing I wanted to get to before we get to a little clip of Greg Olsen. Glazer came out and said that Jay Glazer, that the Vikings wanted to play Teddy because he is their franchise, but they're going to go with Case Keenum this week. That silence is Sim staring daggers into me because he is tired of people overrating Teddy Bridgewater.
It's just such stupid shit. That's all I could say. I don't know why we're having this conversation. I don't get it. Listen, I've been negative on Case Keenum, certainly, but this is not one of the times. I watch the film every week. He's played phenomenal. His 2 losses is at first start against Pittsburgh, where he didn't play that bad. His other losses in a game where the running backs fumbled, backed up in their own territory, and gave Detroit the short field.
And Dalvin Cook got hurt.
Right. So
yeah.
He's played extremely well. They're extremely good. They're 7-2. He's playing better than Teddy Bridgewater ever did. And elite quarterbacks have a hard time coming back after long times of period off. And Teddy Bridgewater is not even elite to say that. I've seen Brady and Manning and Rodgers come back from a broken collarbone and not be as good. Right.
Yeah.
So
I have 2 points.
I just don't get that, and it's making me not want to root for Minnesota. It's making me not want to root for Mike Zimmer.
I love when you turn on teams. 2 things in this. Number one, it's not like Case Keenum is Matt Castle. And I don't mean in talent. I mean in terms of attitude.
Right.
Case Keenum is scrappy.
He is.
That team likes Case Keenum. They're always surrounding with positivity. When I interviewed Stephon Diggs, he loved him. So it's not like it's one guy the team loves and one guy the team's iffy on.
Yeah.
They love them both.
The coach sounds like he's trying to divide the team.
The second thing is, everyone talks about Case Keenum as a journeyman. Right? And they talk about how shitty he was with the Rams last year and how awful he was as a third stringer with the Texans. Why does Jared Goff get a pass because he had shitty coaches last year, but Case Keenum doesn't?
When you said that earlier today, Lefkoe, that is such a good point.
He had the same offensive coordinator.
Right.
He had Jeff Fisher.
Right.
He had Rob Boris. It was the same stuff, but it was Case Keenum's Case Keenum.
Yeah.
And when you're a third stringer with the Texans, you're not ready to play. The team was crap. They didn't have a good offensive system either.
I know.
But he gets punished because he wasn't the first pick in the draft and you weren't expecting it. And we put him in the same mold of the Matt Castles and stuff. I think Case Keenum is actually, his entire career, has actually been pretty good. He has actually performed on the stage. When you really critically look at it,
yeah, no, you're right. I think
he's actually been pretty good.
You're right, because the Rams thing, you have to take the whole team into account, and that was a horrible offense, the worst offense in football. Right.
And then you talk about all the weapons they have this year. None of them were there last year.
That's exactly right.
And the offensive line wasn't that good.
He's got a better arm than Teddy Bridgewater. He would beat Teddy Bridgewater in a 40. Now, listen, again, this is not an indictment on Teddy Bridgewater. Nope. Very happy that he's back.
Very
It's
happy.
Amazing. It's nothing against that.
We're just being realistic football evaluators.
Yes, exactly right. I don't understand what they're doing, and it really almost looks like Mike Zimmer's trying to divide his football team.
One quick note I saw this video of this guy this soldier proposing to a woman at a stadium, at an arena, and I looked at her face, and she was not happy about it. I sent that clip to my girlfriend, and she said, "Why do men do this? Why do they make it about themselves?" And because that's what it is. You're walking through the stadium, the arena afterwards, everyone's going, "Yo, bro, way to go."
And he's like, how cool. In his own mind, he's like, how cool would it be if I did it in a football stadium?
Everyone's cheering you on.
Right.
You feel like an athlete.
Right.
You get video of it later of you doing it, all that stuff. And I thought about it. And at first I was like, you know what, man, it's not about you. But if there's ever going to be a moment in that entire process, now I'm not married, so I need your advice. Wouldn't that be the moment when you are putting yourself at the mercy of another person? You are getting on one knee and saying, "Please accept me." The wedding planning, the wedding itself, all of the stuff afterwards, it all goes to the person that you're proposing to.
Right.
You are actually in that moment at the most risk. Shouldn't that be your moment? Well, like, why not get an entire stadium of people to applaud you for getting down on one knee at the mercy of someone else and getting that? It's just something I thought about.
Yeah, I get you.
You know, because after that moment, you have no more say.
No, you don't. Your life's over. You get married. Life's over. You get kids, then you're really screwed.
Well, that's when it really changes. But what do you think? Like,
I mean,
why
I
not
hear you. The man is putting himself out there. He is showing his vulnerability.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
for
why
his love for the girl.
You're not going to know who these people are. Do you know who Offset and Cardi B are?
No.
Wow. So Offset is in the Migos. Do you know who they are?
It's
rap
a music group. Right.
And then Cardi B has like the #1 rap song in the Bloody Shoes. No, you don't know that song?
I don't know. I'd have to hear it.
He proposed to her, but he didn't get on a knee. He squatted.
Oh.
And my girlfriend was like, well, he didn't actually get on a knee. Now, I'm just telling everybody, I am not going to do the arena proposal.
I didn't get on a knee either.
I know you
just threw the box at her and said, let's go.
So the Greg Olsen story, I was actually interviewing him.
I'm so disappointed I wasn't here for that.
5 minutes after the story happened, and here is the audio of me asking him about it. And right before this, I get a Bleacher Report alert that says, Vikings unhappy, Panthers tight end Greg Olsen is part of Fox's Sunday broadcast team for the game. Why? Because you're playing him in Week 14, and Rick Spielman is upset that you're going to get inside information, Greg. I didn't realize that you on TV is the equivalent of you being a spy.
Yeah, I think the whole thing's really gotten blown out of proportion. At no time was I ever any of the so-called production meetings that we all know. Of course, we never expected them, and I never wanted to put myself at their facility in the meetings with their coaches and players like most broadcasters do in preparation for the game. That was something we knew I wasn't going to have access to, and we never in a million years even thought that was it. So the notion that me sitting in the booth is somehow a competitive advantage when I'm going to watch that film 100 times.
Exactly. All right, so you hear mine, I say exactly, and he's saying there's no competitive advantage.
I don't disagree with all that. I mean, it's okay.
But you do think it's a competitive advantage.
Well, I do, and I just don't think it's right. And I want to preface this first. I really like Greg Olsen. He's going to be amazing at doing TV stuff in general. So it's not about that. And I understand him wanting to even do this. I'm just saying, to me, it is a little unethical. It is. And I know he's not trying to infringe on that. So I don't know.
He's saying it wasn't my purpose, but you're saying even if you're not, that's not your purpose. Like, what could he glean from doing this?
Well, first of all, of course, we know NFL organizations and teams. They don't want outsiders around them in general, let alone a guy that plays tight end for a team they're literally fighting for like home field advantage with.
Yeah, Carolina, Minnesota, and the Rams are three of the five
Eagles,
teams
and the
going
Saints.
for those spots.
Right,
yes.
Exactly right. So that is going to be troubling to the Minnesota Vikings. Now, even if he doesn't go to the producer meetings and things like that, he's going to be standing next to Charles Davis and Kevin Burkhardt, who have been in those meetings, going to have notes, going to have little tidbits about both teams that they're going to know to frame their story, but they're not going to say they know those facts. You know what I mean? So they might know, hey, the right tackle's a little banged up, or we've been trying to hide our left guard because we don't think he's good at this block.
And then Charles Davis won't actually say that.
He won't say it, but he might say, he might be like, they've been having troubles with this left guard all year, so they've been doing these things. You know why they do this? Because it makes it easier on them, whatever it may be.
But they're not going to openly say coaches are worried about left guard.
Coaches told me that the left guard, right. So I'm just giving you an example. I don't know exactly what those specifics would be. Also, they could say things like, we've been playing this coverage because this guy's not good in this coverage, so we're doing this because we're protecting him. Now,
has your
just
dad
because
told
you're watching film
Yes.
of this team coming up doesn't mean that, Carolina watches the film and knows everything right away. It's called misevaluations. It goes on all the time, or not being able to evaluate your opponent correctly. So that is where I go.
So when you hear it from the horse's mouth that they're not just playing.
They might all of a sudden go, well, let me pay a little more closer attention to this left guard. Damn.
Let's just run
They
stunts
only do
over
run
him the whole
right,
time.
or whatever it is. Yes, exactly right.
Yeah.
So that would be the concern. And I know, like, Greg Olsen's not going to look at this stuff. But speaking of personal experience, Mike Shanahan did not let my father go to the 1998 AFC Championship game practice on Friday or Saturday before because they were playing Bill Parcells and the New York Jets. And he locked my dad out of the practice and said, you know what, we're closing it from the practice. But it was because of my dad, and he was afraid that my dad was going to go tell Bill Parcells.
And Mike Shanahan and
now
Phil Simms are friends.
Very good friends. But at that point, they knew each other just on a kind of a topical level.
Gotcha.
And dad had only been out of football for 4 or 5 years. And, of course, Parcells was his coach. So he blocked him out of
any possible
anything. Maybe he's going to go meet with Bill on Saturday night and let something out by accident. You don't know what it may be.
How much information do announcers get before a game that they don't actually say?
It depends on the coach and the relationship. The information you can get the best out of being an announcer is by going to practice on a Friday, and it's usually it's like third down and red zone stuff. So you get a feel for what they're trying to do in the red zone. And you go, ooh, okay, they got this little wrinkle in down in the 15-yard line.
Those are the important plays.
Those are the important plays. Exactly right. So that's how you really learn a lot from practice.
Or I'll hear Gruden do this where it's like the running back, this could be a pass here. I saw them working on this in practice or something like that.
Right, exactly right. So
like
those
trick
little
plays.
Exactly. So those little things. What if they're practicing a play? Coaches also put in plays weeks before sometimes, right? They want want to go, I want to be able to practice this play for 4 or 5 weeks before I actually call it in a game, because I don't want our guys just going out there for the first time ever and be like, hey, it's the biggest third down of the game. I know you never ran this all year, so let's go do it now.
Yeah.
Coaches are neurotic, so they want to be like, well, we practiced this 25 times before I actually called it in a game. And you put in plays for maybe down the road a few weeks before, and you might practice them on Wednesday or Thursday to get better for them. Maybe they're saving them for the Carolina game because they know that's coming up. So there's little
really
nuances
that
like
this
that.
is happening.
And again, Greg Olsen's awesome, and he went to my rival high school. I've known him since I was a little kid.
Yep.
His dad is a legend in high school coaching. His dad is the guy in, what the hell, Lean on Me. Lean on me.
Yes.
When they fire the black coach when he flips the desk on Mr. Clark.
Okay.
And he's like, fuck you, Joe Clark.
Yeah.
And then they make the white guy the head coach. That's Greg Olsen's dad.
In real life?
In real life. That's him.
Well, it's funny because Greg Olsen actually brought that up.
I heard.
And, he was upset you weren't at the interview. Still on Sunday Night Football, and the key is if
Where
you...
is Sims right now? Is he dodging me because we beat him in high school?
Shut the fuck up. That's incredible. By the way, you can curse on this podcast. Sims is at home studying film right now. You beat him in high school. What was the score? What were the teams?
At Sims, so Chris went to Ramapo High School.
Of course.
I went to Wayne Hills High School in North Jersey. And let me tell you, he was the biggest star New Jersey has ever seen in their life.
Oh, my gosh.
Football. And he rolled in his senior year. I wasn't on the team. I was in 8th grade. My dad was the coach.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So just make sure you don't bring it up like live on air where he gets all flustered.
Oh, no. That is literally my job, is to try and catch him off guard all of the time. Yeah, I mean, I know he was the number one player coming. All right, so I'm going to save that. The rest of the interview will be at the end of the podcast. But he just kind of talked about how you guys came in. There was like 15,000 people there, and it was this game. And then obviously, so you guys, your high school beat him his senior year.
So, yes.
That's really fun.
We were really 2 out of the 3 best public schools in New Jersey. It was us, Wayne Hills, and Hoboken. And we could, at that time, before the Catholic schools in Jersey just took over the world, we could play with those teams and beat them, too. And, he came from a high school that was, they were stacked. Big fuckers all over the field. And, yes, my senior year, they beat us when we were like the number 3 team in the country. But they were better than us. But my junior year, we beat them. My sophomore year, we beat them. But I did come back. I think I was in college. My senior year in college, maybe rookie year in the NFL, I came back for the state championship game. His last game ever was state championship.
Whoa.
Wayne Hills, Ramapo, and Ramapo beat him. So I wish I could have talked crap to him.
That would have been fun. But, check that interview out at the end of the podcast. It was good. We talked about...
I hope he's not mad at me.
No. He was fucking
No,
right.
I mean, even because on, even on Pro Football Talk today, I just said I think he should recuse himself from the situation.
He might
think
be
that's
mad
gonna make
about
him
that.
at him?
No, well, I hope. Well, look, if he wants to be in the media, which he clearly wants to be in it,
Right.
then he needs to know that nothing is personal.
Yes.
That's the thing that I think people need to learn.
It's nothing about him. It's just my opinion on the situation.
No, the thing is if he was here, we'd grab some tequila, we'd hang out and chill, and then we go, you realize though that you would learn a lot of shit that in week 14 when you're playing the Vikings, you might be able to use.
Yeah, and more than not anything, it's just he's making them feel uncomfortable. That's the biggest thing.
That's pretty good, though.
That's really what it is.
Let's go right to your game notes.
Let's go.
And we'll finish Saints-Bills
You're so
first.
cute. Your little sweater
Well,
today.
I thought we were going to dinner tonight.
What an idiot. 3 weeks early.
It's like 4 weeks early. I was like, I got to wear a nice sweater and some pants that fit my legs appropriately. Let's go back to the Saints-Bills game. You wrote Saints offensive line best in the NFL, question mark, exclamation point. And you added, Andrus Peat is in the conversation for best guard in the NFL. He kills people.
He kills people.
So this is a draft prediction by you that the first year didn't look good, and now is looking really good because he's found his natural position.
He did.
But talk about the line as a whole.
Their
too.
line. Well, when they're healthy and they can go Teron Armstead at left tackle, and then have Pete and Unger, and then Warford, and then Ramczyk, their other first rounder from this past year.
At the position that he should be playing.
Exactly. It's a phenomenal offensive line, and I would argue that I'm just looking at teams right now.
And Dallas, you can't say it after what we saw this past weekend.
I don't think Dallas is playing at the level. Oakland, I don't think I can either. Philadelphia's in that conversation. Pittsburgh's in that conversation.
Pittsburgh's always in that conversation.
Tennessee's solid, but I don't think they're up to that level.
You're not a big fan of their guards.
Not right now.
Washington, when they're all healthy, is good.
Very much in that conversation. And I'll tell you another one that's underrated is Minnesota's O-line. I mean, Minnesota moved Washington in that game. As we're sitting here doing this, I think they're the best offensive line in the game.
You know what I like about the Saints' offensive line? They're all like real stocky, like aggressive pushers. They're not just like get back on their heels and pass protect.
No, they're not.
And this is not what we've seen. They are all ass kickers.
Armstead is like the lightest one of the bunch, and he's a left tackle.
Jimmy Graham is catching a lot of touchdowns right now. Yeah. But would you say who won that trade, Unger or Graham?
Wow, they both got a lot what they want, but. It was a really good even trade. It really was. I don't know if I could even give it an honest.
But man, that center position.
It's vital this day and age in the NFL. It is, and he's still one of the better centers in all of football. But I honestly, I'm going to say that it's the best O-line in football right now. It really is. They've overtaken the Cowboys. They're right up there. They're just a little bit better than you guys, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they impose their will and
Every
physicality.
time Ingram touches the ball, it's 6. Every time Kamara touches the ball, it's 10.
Yes.
The lanes are wide open. I've never seen Drew Brees with this much time before.
No.
And it's the reason that they've gotten this good.
It is. It's amazing.
Shout out to Mickey Loomis.
Yeah,
building
exactly
a fucking line. And a D-line.
Yes.
I thought for me, we've already been saying the Saints are real all year.
Yeah.
But to do what they did in Buffalo.
Yes.
Then it's like, oh, they're better than what I thought.
Yeah.
Like I thought they were like good top 8, top 7. They're definitely top 5.
Their game translates to if we have to go on the road in NFC playoffs, no matter where it is, watch out.
They can catch up to you and put up points.
Right.
They can be ahead of you and run the ball.
Right.
They might be the scariest team other than the Eagles in the NFL.
I would agree. They're number 3 in my power rankings.
Cowboys-Falcons, speaking of offensive lines.
Right.
You wrote, even Zach Martin is getting whooped by Poe for a sack. When you went back and watched the film, what was it like to see the left tackle and how bad was it?
It was horrible from the get-go. And I can't even lie. I mean, I'm shocked by it, too, because I've liked when Chaz Green has filled in the past. So I'm going to say that myself. But I'm also also shocked by there was no plan B. Like they just expected him to shut down.
Yeah, your boy Lombardi was calling out the clapper.
That's what he calls him,
That's
the clapper?
That's what he calls Jason Garrett, yeah.
That's mean. I like Jason Garrett. But, yeah, I don't understand it. I don't understand kind of the approach altogether. The Cowboys' offense and offensive line altogether was completely flustered and outmatched by the speed of Atlanta. It really got to them.
Yeah, you wrote the Falcons are showing the Dallas pass game no respect, and no one cares about Dez Bryant.
Nobody. In his face, 1 inch from him, jam him, sit on the short routes. Alford and Trufant, they weren't scared of Dez Bryant for nothing. They didn't care if you want to run a go route, fine, I'll still catch you.
Yeah.
Yes, they showed the Dallas pass game zero respect, in the first half especially. Once they got to a 17-7 lead, they backed off a little bit. But, yes, that was a legit butt-whooping by the Falcons.
How much of that was no Tyron Smith and how much of that was no Zeke and how much was just a combination?
I think it's all of it, certainly. I think the thing, Tyrone Smith, of course, hasn't been healthy, but he would have been better than that.
Yeah.
Zeke is a game changer because he forces a defense's hands, and you can't overlook the fact that when there's no hole, Zeke still gets 2 or 3 and keeps you in 2nd and 7. That's a big thing between 2nd and 7 and 2nd and 10 or 11. So there's something to say about that. The other thing that jumped out from that game, we always see Dak do a good job 3rd and 5, scrambles for 10 yards to get the first down. Atlanta was just too fast. And he wasn't able to do that. Either Vic Beasley or Campbell or Deion Jones. As soon as he broke the top pocket, they were all over him. And those gains we've seen for 8 or 9 ended up being 1 or 2 yard gains.
So that's kind of what we saw with Cam Newton. If a team has good linebackers, they're not going to be able to get on the run.
No.
But Dak played the Chiefs, and the Chiefs really don't have great linebackers.
They do not. Exactly right.
And the Eagles have some speed.
Dallas might have to start thinking about some designed quarterback runs, a la Cam Newton.
You also wrote, if I'm playing the Cowboys, I'm attacking Jalen Smith.
Oh, yeah. I feel bad talking about it because
it's like Teddy. where you're like happy that he's like resurrected his leg.
Yeah.
But at the same point, you're like, dude, we need to be honest. You can't go east to west.
It's worse than Teddy, too, because Jalen Smith was a slam dunk top 5 pick. And, like, you know how excited I was when I watched film of Jalen Smith.
He was explosive.
Yes. I mean, he just killed people in college. He was so fun to watch. I was blown away when we had to study him. And he's just a shell of that person, and he is. He's a weak link.
He's a liability.
He is a true liability. You can't expect him to cover.
What can he do well?
Not a lot. I mean, if he has to hit you and you're square up, I mean, he'll hit you. That's for sure.
Man.
But it does not look good. I would be, if I'm them, I'm playing Hitchens and the kid 57 Wilson as my 2 nickel linebackers.
We'll see if they adjust against the Eagles.
Yep.
Vikings-Washington.
Vikings, Minnesota.
Well, I don't like to write Washington's logo, so then I forgot and messed up.
Right.
You've seen more interceptions and pick sixes on the stick concept this year.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So the stick route, first of all, is something New England would never do. They don't run the play. It's basically like a 5-yard out by the tight end, let's say, right? And then there's going to be a receiver or a running back that comes out of the backfield that goes into the flat at like 2 yards. And it's a 3-step drop concept that can be a very hard read, and you have to make a quick decision on getting the ball out.
Because you're trying to stress out, the linebacker to make a decision between the tight end and the running back?
Or maybe a down safety, right, who's playing zone, and he's supposed to
But if you misread it, it could be pick city.
Exactly right. And I've seen it all year long, whether I've seen Goff throw a pick on it. I saw our man Hoyer in the 49er Ram game, first play of the game, same type of thing.
Right.
It's such a bam play.
And the Patriots would never run it.
The risk reward for a 4-yard gain is just stupid. And I'm amazed at how many teams run it over and over and over. And I'm going to go, oh, you just dodged a bullet. Holy cow.
The other thing you saw in this game that we see over and over, Washington went for it twice on 4th down and didn't convert. And they probably could have kicked field goals, and they lost by 8.
I know.
You kick one of them, it's a little closer.
Yeah, it is. It could have been a different game. I mean, again, yeah. And then, you just got to take into account, they kick the field goal, they make it, they kick it off. The Vikings might be stuck down in their own territory. Yeah. Instead of these scenarios, they took over at the 40 and the 35.
And you haven't seen anyone whoop the Washington defense like Minnesota did. Was that injuries or scheme?
They were healthy.
Washington?
Yeah. I mean, for the most part, they had everybody in there.
Yeah.
That was an ass whooping. It was 60 plays for over 400 yards, 6.8 yards per play. Play. That's amazing. The holes were gigantic. Case Keenum threw the ball phenomenal. People were open. And when they weren't, he did a great job.
You like their line.
Their line has been kicking butt lately. It really has.
Minnesota.
Well, they're the number 9, again, number 9 ranked offense in football.
Minnesota, to me, is the most disrespected team in the NFL.
I agree.
When I talk with people, they say, ooh, the Saints scary. Got to be worried about the Rams offense. Of course, the Philadelphia Eagles. And no one ever brings up the Vikings.
Vikings are scary, man.
And the Vikings are playing the Rams this week. That game is going to be so fucking good.
It is. I have a hard time thinking the Rams can beat them.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Good to know for the pick segment. Packers-Bears. Drop by Inman could have been huge. That was the first thing I told you. At the end of the game, Trubisky made a great throw, and Inman could have ran for 40 yards.
He could have scored a touchdown. It's going to be him one-on-one with the backside safety at full speed.
Let's get to some quarterback evaluation. Hundley was good. Arm is live. Release is quick. Offense got into groove.
Right.
Is Hundley growing on you?
Well, his skills are there. It's the offense that's the problem.
It's
right?
always been.
Right. It's hard to evaluate because I want to go, he does some good things and he makes some good throws, but he also hasn't played enough to overcome the boringness and simpleness of the offense like a Rodgers who just goes, he can make it happen and he's so comfortable and everything else. So, yes, I like what I see from Brett Hundley. Is it perfect? No. But his physical ability is there, and they need to start doing, again, just more. And they have to design more. I think they got to start designing some of those college Andy Reid bullshit plays around him because he is fast, too.
You also wrote Trubisky can really throw it, and you underlined that 4 times.
Yeah, Trubisky's got some arm. I mean, when you watch it on film, the ball pops out of his hand. I mean, he throws, out routes and, in cuts where I just go, wow. I mean, you can barely see the ball on the screen. It's effortless for him.
All right, so there's potential there.
Yeah, there is.
You also said my man Josh Jones has become one of the focal points of the Packers defense.
He's their guy. I mean, he's Mr. Do It All.
NC State?
NC State, You know, he was the freak of nature who was, I think he ran like 4.41 or 4.39 at like 220
so
pounds.
So it's him and HaHa Clinton-Dix?
Him and HaHa Clinton-Dix.
That's a pretty athletic safety duo.
And then when they go 3 safeties, he gets in the box. And HaHa and this kid number 35, who I can't remember his name, he's a rookie. But, yes, Jones is playing the key position of that defense. I mean,
interesting.
He's being that – he's a freak athlete.
Jaguars-Chargers, and then we're going to start getting to the MVP and the celebrations before we get to the fans of the day. Bortles throwing it like shit. Fournette not 100%. Bortles was Bortles.
Bortles was beyond Bortles. I mean, it just, again,
worse than typical Bortles.
Well, yes, it was. It was worse than typical Bortles. The ball was all over the place. He had one of those games where he didn't really want to throw it. He wanted somewhere to run and get away. But, like, their pass rush is so good and they were all over him that he had to throw it. But he had one of those games where, you know, I always say, like, he'd throw the ball, and as the ball's in the air, he's skipping, and a jump because he doesn't know where it's going to go. And,
it's like when you're bowling and you're trying to keep it in the lane.
I wanted it in the center. Oh, God, I missed.
You wrote, Bosa and Ingram are unfucking real.
They're unreal.
And we have a comment from Farva_Husey. Actually, he DM'd me on the Instagram. Hit up Sims and Lefkoe or Adam Lefkoe. He wrote, Bosa and Ingram nickname because Bosa is such a bro. Call them the Brogram.
I kind of like
that. So Bosa and Ingram, the Brogram.
The Brogram. I like it.
I'll call them that.
I will too.
All right, it's instituted. The Brogram.
They are, they're legit. It's, again.
And we're going to get them together for
Fournette
like 3-4
is not
100%
with that knee. I could tell with some of his cuts, especially when he played at wide receiver a little bit and had to run routes out of the backfield.
He was like rounding things off.
Very much so. And, man, again, just like we said early in the podcast, it's disrespectful the way people play defense against Jacksonville.
Speaking of Chargers defense, Denzel Perryman back is huge. You wrote great east to west and great tackler. He was that impactful.
Yes, I just was not expecting him to be all over the place in his first game back.
Yeah, you said that on our pick show. You're like, I don't know how much of an impact he's going to have.
I mean, he was amazing. He's one of the few people I've seen in football this year a few times just go in and get clean shots on Fournette and take him down right away.
Maybe it's because he wasn't 100%.
Well, that did help. Right.
Speaking of the Jaguars defense, Marcel Darius is just okay. Where did his legs go?
Yeah, I don't like the way his body looks. It's not like it's horrible, but he used to have a little more hamstring and quad on him. Now it's kind of just gut and ass. So I like a little more leg to go with that
like Malik
ass.
Jackson 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, I want a little more of that. And he wasn't bad in the game, but he wasn't great either. He did make some disruption. The other thing that scared me, though, he was on the ground a bunch of times, too. And you know what I say about guys on the ground. You end up getting your own players hurt, or you trip your own guys to where they can't get to their gap.
This is the one that I found interesting because I was watching during the game.
Right.
I kept looking up and seeing what they were doing with Eckler. And I was like, man, they're having success on this wheel route, flat, whatever it is. And you wrote, Chargers used flat and crossers well. That's how you attack this scheme.
Right.
Did the Chargers give us a little Jaguars beater blueprint?
Yeah, it's something we've seen like New England do to Seattle, right? Those kind of things. Yes, if you have the right offense and pieces and you really know how to run those type of plays, you can stress them out with shallow crossers, flat stuff, things like that, because they try to pass it off. And it's just hard to do.
And that's why you say they need to run more man-to-man.
I do. I think they could splash in a hair more man-to-man. Now, even saying that, I mean, they held the Chargers. They still played amazing defense.
Yeah, for sure.
And Eckler had to break like 3 tackles on both of his touchdowns.
But if they're playing a New England or a Kansas City or a Pittsburgh, expect some flat crosser concepts.
Yes. Now, I don't think Kansas City has enough offense to take advantage of it. If you run the same concept doing it all the time, they're good at what they do, and they'll get a feel for it. But if you give them same looks with those same kind of concepts, the illusion of complexity,
yes,
as Gruden used to say to us, then that's where it could get dicey.
All right, let us get into the MVP board. Last week, Russell Wilson was number 3 after, what did he do 2 weeks ago? That wasn't the Cardinal game.
Well, it was the Redskin game that he
Washington
lost.
game, but he was still unbelievable.
Right.
2, Tom Brady, and then for the 3rd straight week, Carson Wentz was your MVP. Heading into after week 10, so the games last week, number 3 on the Chris Sims MVP board.
It hasn't changed.
Russell Wilson's number 3?
Tom Brady's number 2. Carson Wentz is number 1.
God damn it.
Do the drum roll again, though. I like it. Yes.
And number 2,
Tom Brady.
Russell Wilson had the incredible throw to Doug Baldwin to keep that game alive. It's truly just him versus
It's
11
like you
guys.
said. What did you call? What did you say? It's like a fire drill and a guy. What
He
is
is
it?
evacuating a home and getting all of his belongings, and then every 7 seconds going, hold on, I got to paint this.
Exactly right. I mean, I think that's a great way to explain it. It's just a fucking disaster, and then he makes it look good all of a sudden.
Tom Brady,
Being
you
a
were there.
person?
Yeah,
I mean,
fucking awesome.
yeah. I mean, Brady, like I've been saying, he throws it better now than when I worked there in 2012. Every ball that came out of his hand.
I had a few people tweet me and go, you're telling me that this guy at 40, we're supposed to believe that there's no funny business going on and that other quarterbacks that are not in the league anymore are going, oh, yeah, he changes his mechanics and it's all better.
I get that. I totally get
He's
that.
not
And I've had
juicing.
ex-coaches or ex-quarterbacks and ex-people go, he's got to be on something. And, of course, I have friends that play in football and did play in football. My dad being one of them, he thinks that most of the league is on HGH. I don't agree with that. No, I think Brady has taken care of his body. I think Brady has not been beat up at all in his career. I mean, Brady, you can count on your hand.
One ACL tear.
Right. And you can count on your hand the number of games Brady's been beat up in general.
The Broncos AFC Championship
Right,
game
the
2
Super
years
Bowls
ago.
against the Giants.
Yep.
I mean, it's very rare. I mean, he gets hit this year, and we're all going, he's getting beat up, and I want to be like, man, there's a lot of other quarterbacks that have been hit more and sacked more than Brady, but because
Yeah.
we're not used to even seeing him get hit.
Yeah.
So that, taking care of his body, and adjusting your throwing motion is a big thing. I mean, if Peyton Manning had adjusted his crap motion, he probably could still be playing too. So you don't lose arm strength at 40. I mean, Nolan Ryan was throwing no-hitters at 45, okay? So you can still be a great thrower. It's just, can the rest of your body hold up? And it seems like it.
Let us do the celebration rankings. Current leaders, individual Golden Tate's People's Elbow has been number 1 now for
the single.
like 5 weeks for individual.
Right.
And team, the Steelers bench press edged out the Kansas City potato
I've been
sack
paying
race.
attention to this now since.
Good.
Yeah.
We only have 1 for individual this week.
I went potato sack race over the bench press. No, I didn't.
You went bench
I was
press
gonna
over
say.
potato sack
Right.
race. First one, and it's the only individual, is the Chester Rogers dance.
Touchdown!
All right, Chester Rogers goes out there and does this dance where he's, I don't know what it is, but there's kicking. Oh, you know what it is? That is an that's a historical black college fraternity.
It's it's not Omega, right?
Yeah, I believe it is.
That's Omega.
That versus Golden Tate's People's Elbow.
The People's Elbow.
Okay, so that stays. Now, team-wise, the winners is Steelers bench press. The Steelers are back. It is first one. We are going to do the Vikings leapfrog. They
pretty
score
good.
over Washington. Adam Thielen gets down. The rest of the receivers get down, and they do the leapfrog over. Did you like that one?
I liked it a lot.
Next one up, Steelers are back. Juju Smith-Schuster and Le'Veon Bell reenact the Jalen Ramsey and A.J. Green fight,
I liked it.
taking a shot at a division rival.
Yep.
Next, we have the Stephon Diggs jumps onto the pole. He does the Antonio Brown. He flies, then hits the pole, and then slides down.
And then gets a 15-yard penalty.
Because you can't do that.
You can't do that.
And then one that is not from the NFL,
Oh.
the CFL.
Oh, I saw this already.
Where they score and they get out there and they call over and they take the receiver and they make him a limbo pole and then they do a limbo underneath. First question, is that eligible?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, CFL.
What is your feeling about the CFL? Chris Berman used to talk about the Grey Cup all the time.
It's a great place for guys to go and continue their career. I would never go. I could never do it.
Why?
I dreamed of the NFL, and when that dream was over, I couldn't lower my expectations to the CFL. That's no disrespect, because my brother even thinks about going to play there. I just couldn't do it.
He needs to do something.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him play football.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs, pole jump, Vikings leapfrog, Juju, Le'Veon mocking Ramsey and A.J. Green. Who wins this week?
Gosh, the leapfrog thing wins this week.
Okay.
I really like the leapfrog
Now,
thing.
leapfrog versus Steelers bench press.
I'm still going to go with the Steelers bench press.
What is your love? It's the meathead aspect of it?
It's the meathead aspect. It's like, it's such a combine thing. The fact that they had somebody get on all fours and Le'Veon laid on him like a bench press, and then we had spotters there. I like the team camaraderie-ness around it. Everybody was in.
The Steelers and Lions to me have had the two best. And you know what? The Vikings I feel like are just doing what children do. They did Duck Duck Goose.
Right.
Now they're doing Leapfrog.
Right.
You know,
I want one team to have a staple. To like where it pisses people off, like how Zeke does this, you know, like feed me, and defenses hate it. So when they start tackling them, they do it. Well, I want a team to be obnoxious and have like one celebration that they like, you know, back in the old days when like the Redskins used to jump up and
do the
circle and high five, like something like that, because that's what's gonna piss defenses off.
Steelers have been the best though.
They have
hide and seek.
Le'Veon's cool. You could tell Juju's cool.
Antonio Brown is
right.
cool.
They're cool peeps over there.
Yeah.
Mike T's cool.
Martavis Bryant not getting involved. Random stat about these Steelers. This is from Joe Rutter on Twitter. Steelers are one of just 5 teams to not have a 30-point game this year.
Wow.
The other 4 are the Giants, the Browns, the Bears, and the Chargers.
Wow.
Those teams are combined 7-29.
That's interesting.
And yet the Steelers continue to have lines that are like 10 or 11 points, and I keep betting on them for no reason.
Well, listen, they're good. There's no doubt about it. Their offense still is not even clicking. But, man, when they had to turn up the heat in that Colts game, their defense, good night.
Oh, that Ryan Shazier pick.
I mean,
great.
they're just as soon as it was like, oh, you know, they kind of sleptwalk, and I understand it's bye week. They had to play the Colts. They felt like they were going to win, so you don't play your best. It's just the way it is.
We had only one submission for In Their Prime, the new game show that we're playing. So give us 2 awesome players in the history of the NFL, and we are going to break down who was better in their prime. This one is from Darian Chavez.
What's up, Darian?
Charles Woodson or Prime Time Deion Sanders.
Wood is a all-time great. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer. But there's nobody better in their prime than Deion Primetime Sanders. I mean, nobody. I mean, he was as shut down gets. He's the greatest corner to ever play football, period. And teams would literally just avoid him altogether for, I would say, gosh, from 1991 to 1997, nobody even wanted to throw at Deion Sanders.
Woodson, I mean, when you take in the whole,
yes,
what he did at Michigan, and then also
corners,
switching to safety.
Exactly right. I mean, phenomenal football player. Woodson was amazing, and really probably would have even been more amazing if he didn't have that toe injury at the end of the Raiders'
and
career.
Didn't play at the shitty part of the Raiders.
Exactly. So that was tough, but still, Deion is arguably the fastest guy in the history of the NFL. I mean, he is.
Yeah. We have 2 Bleacher Report alerts before we keep going. Speaking of the Cowboys.
Hello.
Ezekiel Elliott officially withdraws appeal and will serve the full 6-game suspension.
Wow.
It's over.
Yeah.
You didn't think it was going to happen.
I did not. I thought it would get pushed off to the offseason. But, man, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know about them. I know they play your Eagles this week. And now, listen, their D whooped up on Atlanta. It really did. Atlanta just made some plays because they got some talent and they got a decent little system. But, man, their D-line is a force. But if their D-line doesn't get it done, I don't know.
So I'm saying the Eagles are really good at negating that.
Exactly right.
And then Arians with a great quote here talking about why Blaine Gabbert has a bad rap. And he said, well, he was on really shitty teams.
Yes.
You love Blaine Gabbert every preseason.
I do. Well, he's got great skill. I do say that. And he has been on shit teams. I mean, let's be real about that. He was on the shitty Jaguars.
Yeah.
And he was on the shitty 49ers. So, man, if Drew Stanton
has relative success.
Well, I mean, if he could just be like an average quarterback last Thursday, they're going to beat the Seattle Seahawks. There's people open, and he's missing them high and Gabbert's a better thrower than Stanton, for sure.
Let us go. We have a lot of different ones I've gotten from Instagram and Twitter, and then we're going to get to the iTunes reviews. Just some first notes. First, shout out to Kawakabaro, who sent me the picture of the JFK newspapers that you had liked.
I appreciate that. He did work for the CIA. You're right.
Paul Kessler from Germany said that it is Dr. Mueller-Wolfhard is the best sports doctor in the world. He's the one that worked on Kobe, Usain Bolt, and a lot of soccer stars.
Yes.
And his name is Wolfhard.
And and people have heard this lately, like Andrew Luck. Everybody I've heard people he must be over there doing something illegal. No. It's just called they're advanced. They're ahead of us. Like I make fun of all the time. They don't use just ice and stim over there.
Jernzin says, my daughter is 2 and has those animal books that makes noises or animals. I would like one where Sims does all of the animal noises. # business idea.
I like it.
You think you would do that?
You think Bleacher Report would come out with a book, Chris Sims Animal Noises?
Chris Sims Animal Noises. Willie Joe for real said, make sure to tell Sims Lefkoe that Goff's pass to Woods actually broke Phil's record of longest touchdown on 3rd and 30+.
Is that right?
Do you remember a play in which your dad did that?
3rd and 30+.
Yeah.
Well, I know that was so. I didn't know that about my dad's record. I think he's talking about the Denver Broncos. The year my dad beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl, and the regular season that year they had a 3rd and 30 against the Broncos.
Really?
And he converted it on the game-winning drive to win the game, like
That's
a deep
funny.
pass down the middle. It wasn't a screens behind the line of scrimmage don't count. Sorry.
Yeah. Phil Sims didn't
Phil
throw
Sims did it
fucking
the
screams.
old-fashioned way.
Brancho Cucamonga, Sims was flexing holding that mic the entire NBC broadcast, doing what it takes on the national stage. # beans not beef. Were you flexing?
Not at all.
You weren't out there showing a little gun?
No, not at all. I mean, the suit's tight. I don't know. I mean,
Suit was tight.
It was. Well, I had a sweater underneath, but no, I got a little gunpowder. Got a little gunpowder.
Yeah, people don't realize they see you and you're a little bit bigger than they think. Sweet Rebellion on iTunes. Sims and Lefkoe have changed the way I digest sports news. It's not just news, but real analysis. They always help me see things from a different perspective. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. This one is from Clareson or at Cytaz. You guys are the best. I love when Big Phil joins the show. I don't listen to many podcasts. You're actually the only podcast I listen to. Thank you guys so much.
Sorry, Big Phil wasn't here.
Yeah, man.
Big fucker. That's what we call him.
R. Zoolander. Been listening to the podcast for about a year. The three of you make a great team. I love the addition of Phil. The episode where Chris's mom answered the phone was priceless, and it provoked 2 questions from me. Chris, growing up, did your mom want you to play football?
Yes, she did. I mean, she didn't go like, Christopher, you're playing football, but she certainly never said don't play it.
It was a different era. We didn't know about CTE yet.
It was definitely a different era.
And then second question, when you had that serious injury, how bad was that for her?
Yeah, it was rough on my whole family, and the most my wife and my mom probably. I mean, as you know, I almost died, so it was a weird time in my life, certainly, but yeah, they were there for the support. I know my mom. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I know she got on a plane right away as soon as she knew.
I want to give a special shout out to Zachary Ryan, who was somebody, former soldier, that hit us up and said thank you so much. We spoke a lot about mental health, and I just want to say, Zach, thank you so much for listening, dude. You're the fucking man.
Appreciate it, Zach.
And to anyone out there that whether you're having a tough time, no matter what it is, if we're helping at all, look, you guys are motivating us just as much as we help you guys out. So thank you for sending your notes, because it makes us feel like we're actually doing something other than fucking around with each other and talking shit.
No doubt.
We have a lot of different ones about different teams. Let's do some quarterback comments here.
Okay.
The Jack Farr. Apparently, we inspired him to do a soccer podcast, so kick some ass. I think he's out in the UK.
Cool.
How many teams will have a new starting quarterback next year? And he brought up Arizona, New Orleans, the Giants, the Chargers, and the Steelers. Those are all with aging quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think.
And now it sounds like Buffalo will have a new quarterback as well.
Yes, I think Arizona will have a new one for sure. So there's one. I don't think New Orleans is going to be. I mean, New Orleans they're a playoff team.
That
they're not going to abandon
contract situation with Breeze will be interesting.
Yes, they're not going to abandon that anyways at this point. He's still playing good enough to where they can win the Super Bowl, and the team, he's not going to want to leave town now. He went through all the struggles, and now they're good, so he's not going to want to leave this. Washington could possibly see. We don't know what's going to happen there. So there's Arizona, Washington, the Giants, yes. Well, the Giants, we don't know yet either. I don't know what to say about the Giants. If you made me bet money, I'd say the Giants give Eli Manning one more year.
Wow.
I
Why?
do. I don't know why either. Cleveland, I still think you're going to see another quarterback. I've seen enough to know Kizer's not the answer going forward, at least in my eyes. The Chargers, did we say the Chargers? That is one there I just think, yes.
It's time.
I do think it's time, and I think it'd be interesting. Like, maybe the Chargers end up, maybe Rivers ends up going to, Jacksonville next year. There's something like that. I could truly see that happen.
Another guy for Jacksonville.
Yeah, right. And
that'll be the most fun thing to see is watching.
Cincinnati.
Yep.
Jets. What are the Miami Dolphins going to do? So there's
Tannehill.
Yes, there's a number of teams there.
All right, rank these quarterbacks for Giles 1994. Wentz, Goff, Mariota, Winston, Trubisky, Watson, Prescott, Bortles, Carr. I'm just going to hand you
thank you. Here we go.
Right, those.
This one right here. Okay. All right. So, All right.
Who's one?
Wentz is one to me.
Okay, who's two?
I want to make Watson two, really, just out of you asked me who's the most talented guy there. But it's like we didn't see a lot. But I'm just going to go with the guys that I think are most talented and who are the best.
Wentz number one.
Watson
number two.
I'm going to go Carr, then Prescott.
Derek Carr. Wow, then Dak Prescott.
Yeah, it's
okay.
close, though. I almost thought about I'm really only giving it to Carr because Carr's had to carry the team on his shoulders,
Gotcha.
and he's done it. So I'm going to go with him there, but that's very close.
Wentz, Watson, Carr, Prescott.
I mean, man, I don't even know how I'm going to – my rankings, I really like Trubisky's skill set. He excites me more than the other guys on this list, but he hasn't done enough yet to me put him there.
Yeah.
So after that, I'm going to go I'm going to go Winston, Mariota, Trubisky, Bortles.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Feel good about it?
I do. I mean, it's hard for me to justify
It's hard
the
to
guys
put
who haven't
Trubisky,
who haven't played a lot. Like Trubisky has the talent and looks like he's on the trajectory to be in that top 3 or 4 of that group right there.
Leo San Giorgio from Brazil. Why do game broadcasters never say that a scheme is bad, but we have to listen to podcasts to hear about bad coaches? Are they afraid?
They are afraid, and they're afraid because they got to go meet these guys and talk to them, and that's why just listen to me. That's why I don't even give a shit about the coaches. I got my friends, and the ones who are confident and secure in their coaching ability, they don't care when I say that was a bad game plan or whatever, because the most times they agree.
He added, by the way, Sims is fucking crazy to think that the U.S. would have the best soccer teams if athletes played. Odell and Tyreek wouldn't be on the same planet as Nomar or Coutinho.
Oh, my gosh. They would beat him running backwards.
Isaac2432 in Australia. How do I watch Solomon Thomas and Buckner to see if they're playing well? What do I look for?
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is they do a lot of movement up front, so it's hard at times. But, again, disruption in the backfield, especially in that scheme. Because
how often are they getting in the backfield?
Yeah, just how long are they getting back there, and you can just tell, he got back there and they made the running back run a wrong way, or they made the quarterback have to shuffle out of the way. Those are good plays by a defensive player.
If a defensive lineman is playing 50 snaps a game,
right?
What is good for you in terms of getting in the backfield?
Oh.
What percentage?
Gosh, if you were 50 snaps a game and you got in the backfield 5 times a game, you're a good player.
Really?
Yeah, to just be able to bust in the backfield. That's why, when I watch Jadeveon Clowney and go, holy shit, it's the first quarter and he's gone in the backfield 5 times already. Yeah. I'm like, you're fucking amazing.
RTL.
And watch for double teams in the run game. Or is he holding his ground when they run the ball and they're running at his area? Is he getting moved out of the way? That would be the other thing to watch for.
How much is he getting moved in the running game?
Right.
Okay, that's a good one. RTL_boss. Why did Sims leave the Patriots organization in 2013?
Yeah, simple. It's a lot to coach in the NFL. I had 2 young kids that were, 7 and 3 or 8 and 4 at the time, and I was stressing out every day that I was missing them grow up. I mean, I went basically 7 months without seeing them once the season started, and it ate away at me. Then I got offered another job in the NFL. And
Did you?
I did, yep. And
Where?
I came home. I can't tell you that. And I
NFC
came home.
or AFC?
AFC. And I came home, and I told my wife, and she was like, what? We're going to move again? She goes, I don't know if I signed up for this. And I was like, I don't know if I signed up for this either. And that started to make me reevaluate
like, I
it.
want to do media.
Yeah, I just knew that I wanted to be around my family. That's what I knew more than anything.
Liam Swag 1. Sims, can you talk about your breakfast eating habits? What time, what food? Do you work out before work? I think this guy's trying to steal your mojo.
Okay, yeah. I don't work out a lot this time of the year.
What do you eat for breakfast?
When I get up in the morning, it's either bran flakes, like today. Okay, I did the PFT show in the morning. I got home.
Did you eat beforehand?
No. I just did.
Did you drink coffee?
I did. I had coffee, one large cup, like a true cup of coffee with a shot of espresso in it.
And you don't eat anything.
I don't eat anything. I got home at like 9:05, 9:15. I had a bowl of bran flakes.
What kind of milk?
Whole milk, always. Don't eat anything but it. Whole milk.
Not almond milk.
Never. No, I can't do it.
So you do like dairy.
I do. I do a little dairy, certainly, yes. And I do a little meat at times. Like, I don't do anything just totally foolproof.
Bran flakes?
But bran flakes, my wife makes me my Ezekiel bread with butter and raspberry jelly on it. She puts that in a little paper bag, and I put my Orgain protein shakes in the bag with it.
Yep.
And then when I get on the train, I eat the toast and jelly and chug a Orgain after it.
All right, and then do you work out before work?
Never. I mean, the problem is, if I wasn't an ex-meathead, I would, but my whole life has been waking up and working out. So now that I don't play football, I enjoy it. When I have a Saturday off or whatever, I get up, I have maybe just the bran flakes.
Yeah.
I have a good, strong cup of coffee, and then I go hit it hard.
How many days do you go to the gym now?
Gosh, I've
In season and out of season.
well, when Notre Dame weeks, I sometimes don't get there at all.
What about out of season?
Out of season, I would say I get there 2 to 3 days a week.
Morg Strander 9. I'm 21,
Yep.
and I'm a visually impaired football lover. Do you know of any players that played with horrible vision or less invasive disabilities? Well, Derek Coleman, fullback that was on the Seahawks. He was actually deaf. The other name that came to mind was Tom Dempsey, who didn't have any toes and
Yes.
was one of the greatest kickers of all time for the
Right.
Saints. But do you know of any players that had impairments, whether it was vision, hearing, anything like
Man,
that?
some guys do have some really bad eyes. Now, but you can't tell anymore because of like the context. But like, think like the great special teams guy in New England, Matthew Slater. He's got glasses that are 3 inches thick.
Really?
Yes, but he wears contacts during the game, and you wouldn't know. So there are some definite cases of bad sight and vision.
Yeah.
Other than that, I can't think of anything else that I've been with.
BMAC3142. I don't know why OBJ doesn't get enough credit for what he does for the Giants. Why can't people separate on the field and off the field?
I don't know either. And again, I'll say this too. What has he done so bad that's off the field? He went to Miami in a day off. I know that's not the best look in the world, but it isn't Facebook Live from the locker room.
Yeah.
It isn't throwing a Gatorade thing all over your sideline. It's not, cheap shotting another D-back and bringing him to the ground and throwing 7 punches. So everybody blows everything Odell Beckham Jr. does out of the wall. I mean, out of proportion. And he is the best receiver in football, period. I mean, are we seeing now that the Giants are nothing without him on offense? Nothing.
Got a lot of Rams stuff here. Mr. Bethke.
Yeah.
As I'm watching Rams-Texans, I couldn't help but think of you guys ripping Eric Dickerson on how the Rams should start Mannion over Goff. He should do stand-up. He's ridiculous.
Yes, I mean, ridiculous. And that was at a point when he hadn't even seen practice in like a year. Just ridiculous.
Luke Heaton, 93. Do you think Goff, the Rams D, or Keenum know tendencies about each other and will mention them in meetings for this matchup, especially Goff and Keenum since they were always together?
Well, no, it's too hard because, first of all, Keenum, it's a whole new team and staff there, so there's no more tendencies that he's going to know, right? It's not the same defensive scheme. It's not the same offensive scheme, so there's not going to be much. He might be able to tell a few little nuances if he knew something about Jared Goff. And same with Jared Goff. I got Keenum, he doesn't like throwing the out route to the left or whatever it may be. But no, very minimal. Again, it's a new team and it's a completely new organization with the Rams.
Comment from Born and Raised 406. I know it's 2 weeks away, but is Rams-Eagles a possible preview of the NFC Championship game?
I don't think so. The Eagles, I'm willing to say that. I have to see more with the Rams first. The Rams are good. Don't get me wrong. Okay? I look at the teams that are 7 wins.
You like the Saints and Vikings a lot more.
And the Carolina Panthers.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait, what's their record?
7-3.
Oh, I didn't
Yes. I will say, I think they're the worst 7-win team out there.
Right.
I wouldn't take them over Pittsburgh or New England. I don't think in a one-game matchup. Now, they're playing a little bit better than a Pittsburgh right now. So I've had them higher in my power rankings. But let me just read this real quick as I just do this. Like the Rams. This is what scares me about the Rams, okay? Just real quick. Their wins. They've got some quality wins. Don't get me wrong. But this is where I am interested this week. Minnesota's defense is for real. When they played the Seattle Seahawks, the Rams lost. And they lost because of Jared Goff. And I'm not trying to be a hater.
Their offense was not great against Jacksonville either.
He threw over 124 yards against Jacksonville. Against Seahawks, he was 22 of 47 for 288 and 2 interceptions.
So who are the defenses they're facing
So
coming up?
He's going to have to play Minnesota. He's got Philadelphia.
Both really good defenses.
Yeah, so that's going to be scary. He's going to have to play the Seahawks up in Seattle at some point.
Right.
And here we go. And then other than that, it should be – he's got the Saints too. So he's going to have to –
Damn, so you're telling me that 3 of the next 4 weeks we're going to learn about the Rams.
We are.
They play the Vikings, the Saints off. They play somebody else, and then the Eagles.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
All right, we're going to learn a lot.
We are going to learn.
Speaking of defenses, Shadoon. Belichick is a defensive coach, but where would you guys rank him amongst offensive minds if you went to coach that side of the ball?
Yeah, that's a really – who said that? Who is this?
Shadoune. Shadoun.
Shadoun, that's a good question. He would be one of the best offensive coordinators in football. He's one of the only coaches in the history of football that literally can coach both sides of the field. The system they have in place is very Belichick-based. He is the one that got them into the short passing game and said, let's start throwing the ball with the way these rules are now and doing that. So he is extremely intelligent. He is the basis of that New England system.
Yeah.
And then Josh McDaniels took it to another level. But, yes, if he just had to dedicate himself to being an offensive coordinator, I have no doubts that he'd be one of the best in the league.
Let's go rapid fire.
Yeah.
Tommy Hone, should the Giants consult OBJ about potential coaching change?
Absolutely not. Don't do that. Again, they're players. You got to do what you think is best for the organization. I do think the Maras will figure this out. The guy I think, Josh McDaniels, will be the guy I'm going after if I'm the New York Giants. He is right on their mold. He's been, of course, the New England organization, very similar. I'm going to throw out another name, too. Just guys that I know that I've been with that I think are really good coaches. Rich Bisaccia. He is
the special teams coordinator for the
Cowboys. He is phenomenal. He's one of the best coaches I've been around. He understands the complete game, and he understands how to manage games, which is a lost art in football.
Optimistic Browns fans comment as Lefkoe for president. What did you guys think of Josh Gordon running a 4.35 40?
Josh Gordon is
one of the freakiest players.
Oh, my gosh. The first time I saw Josh Gordon in person at Browns practice, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This guy is a receiver?
Speaking of Browns fan, the best podcast, period. You guys changed the way I watch the game. Do you guys think Kizer can be a guy and we could maybe win a few this year, or should we just cut our losses and draft one of the top guys?
My thought, I just don't see it with Kizer. I really don't. I don't think he is a good enough thrower of the football in general. And I haven't seen enough of an improvement to think it's going to change. It's the same motion, and there's still throws every week that I watch that I go, ooh, that's just – it's erratic. It's all over the place.
Speaking of Notre Dame, Frank Barra.
What up?
I have been a listener since episode 1. I've been following Sims since Ramapo High and Greg Toll.
Thanks, Frank
Barra. I
Barra.
have a Notre Dame question for you.
Sure.
You've been around the program, Chris.
Yep.
I'm curious of your assessment of the program after that tough loss Saturday. I'm especially interested in your evaluation of your fellow Jersey boy, Brandon Wimbush.
Yeah.
P.S. Any chance we get the podcast released overnight instead of 6 a.m.? I'll talk to Josh. But I'm curious, what do you think of Wimbush and the program as a whole?
Yeah, Notre Dame is run like an NFL organization. I would have a hard time thinking there's any college that runs a tighter ship and is more detailed than Notre Dame, except for maybe Nick Saban in Alabama. But it is like a professionally run organization, extremely impressive. Wimbush, hey, you saw the game, man. He's got to work on his throwing of the football, plain and simple, but he does have talent, and when he tucks the ball and runs, he can run like a running back. I was disappointed with Notre Dame's game plan in the game altogether, just to say that. They ran sideline to sideline. They came out trying to be pass heavy. I don't think they played to their strength of let's run the ball downhill and up the middle. It took them too long to get that, and the game was out of hand.
CTJ4321, the Mush versus Roseman. I'm still waiting for Lefkoe to punch Roseman after drafting Barnett in the first. His freak out during the draft was amazing. Question is, the 49ers roster has been decimated by injuries. Do you blame the training staff or just a freak thing?
I think it's a freak thing in a lot of ways.
It's tough.
I don't know if, I haven't talked to Kyle about those type of things.
Yeah.
But, yeah, listen, they got young players. They're not good in certain positions, and that's what happens when you're young and you're overwhelmed at certain positions. That's when crazy shit happens and people get hurt.
LYFSGD, amazing. Honestly stopped. Oh, I love this podcast. Patriots, they still give up yards but aren't giving up touchdowns. What do they do specifically in the red zone that's stopping other teams from scoring?
Well, the red zone, if you play it the right way, well, it's their breakdowns more than anything. And this is
what does that mean?
Well, like I've always said to you, they're willing to let you go from 20s to 20s because Bill's going to play the numbers. And he might see, man, when they get to the 50, they get in this formation. They have some plays here that I can't play this defense because they have this one play that might go for a 50-yard touchdown. So I'll play real conservative defense. And, gosh, if they get 5 or 8 yards, then I'll live with it. Okay, so they bend from that standpoint because they're just not going to let you have the big play. And then when they get in the red zone, of course, tendencies continue to shrink in the red zones where offenses are limited in what they can do. And if you're not ultra creative, it's easy to kind of, I don't want to say easy, but you can certainly figure it out, take some staples of what they do away. And most teams lack creativity in the red zone. They really do. And New England is by far the most creative on offense in the red zone. That's why Brady scores touchdowns and the other teams kick field goals.
They always do the route where the guy runs the back of the end zone and then cuts back.
They have so many different ways of doing things. They have like 5 staple plays that they have perfected for red zone for reasons that I'm not even going to tell everybody why they do them, but I know.
Why?
Because I'm not going to give up all their secrets. I'm going to keep them.
You going to tell me after the show?
Yeah, I will tell you after the show.
All right, good. Sorry, guys.
But and just as the year goes on and Bill's studying, he finds more and more tendencies in the red zone. It just goes into his hands because he's the smarter coach and he's the smarter game planner. And I think it goes overlooked in New England in general. We talk about the team always. What we don't talk about is their coaches outcompete the other coaches 7 days a week, 365.
Yeah, their GM frickin' takes snaps under center at
throwing footballs to workout guys. When we're there. Yes.
Topper sticks. 3 quick ones. Are the Rams one of the best second-half teams in the NFL in terms of how they play, like coming out in the second half of games?
Yeah, they certainly are. They are in that discussion, yes.
Todd Gurley, legitimate top 3 running back?
Yeah, I do think so. Right now, with like a David Johnson being out, I would say he is, yes, he is definitely a top 3 running back.
And thoughts on Alex Ogletree being the second highest paid middle linebacker?
Well, Ogletree, I think, is perfect for that defense, what they want to do.
Right.
He's a great mix of what a Wade Phillips wants, where he can really hit and bring it and be a thumper, but his athletic ability is special in the middle of that defense. He is a talent that is worthy of that.
This is the last one. Cream 14, Raider fucking nation. Love my Raiders, hate my coaching staff. Do you think the Raiders defense would benefit more if we used Mack as a 3-4 outside linebacker instead of a 4-3 end? And who would make the best coach for us going forward on offense?
Oh, gosh. Okay, so it doesn't really matter with Khalil. At the end of the day, you want him to rush the passer. He could do both, 3-4 outside linebacker or 4-3 defensive end. But at the end of the day, you're still going to want him to rush the passer. And even if he's a 3-4 guy, okay, they're still going to get in some 4-down fronts on 3rd down to rush him. So it'll end up being a DN. So that doesn't matter as much to me. Offensively, as far as guys to look at, that's a really good question. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head if there's anybody out there. I mean, hey, some of these coaches on the Rams, LaFleur, the quarterback coach there, he's going to be in the conversation.
I'm really afraid of people trying to poach John DeFilippo from the Eagles this year.
Yeah.
And Frank Reich.
Yeah.
Because there's 3 offensive minds on that staff, and I know that 2 of them could be gone. And then also the guy from Kansas City is interesting.
I think a lot of people, but the guy that came from college, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think if there's any other young up-and-comers out there. But, listen, their offense certainly is not perfect. It's been a little bit better as of late. They'll be interested to see what they can do against the Patriots.
In a little bit, as in right now. Interview with Greg Olsen. We touched on a lot of things, the other best tight ends in the NFL, what it's like in the locker room right now, Cam versus Thomas Davis, and a little game of pig in the locker room. It's good stuff. So stay tuned for that, and we will be doing our pick show, and that comes out Friday as always, where Sims took a bath yet again. But it's really close in the pick, so it should be good. Go home. Get some rest. Yeah. I am not going to go to dinner with you tonight because apparently I don't know fucking schedules. And then, of course, we're going to figure out what we're doing. We will get our pick show in for next week before Thanksgiving, so you guys have all of our picks, so you'll make sure that you have all that. For Sims.
Peace out, homies.
Fendrick would say good evening and good night, and I am the Lefkoe.
Man.
Got to so many freaking questions today.
Woo.
I cleaned out the barrel, and it feels good. We'll be talking to you guys soon. Lefkoe, love you guys. We're out.